Mining Indaba 2013 is in its final day today, with a lot of the conversations focused on the moves that African nations are making to improve their mining sectors. Chatting to us now live from Cape Town is Kobus van Wath, who's a founder and Group MD at Beijing Access. And of course, he's with Chris Bishop on that end. Chris, it's over to you.
Thank you very much, Alicia. It's the final day here. Everything's wrapping up. But one of the big issues at this Mining Indaba has been the investment relationship between China and Africa, which appears to grow with every Mining Indaba. Now, with me, I've got one of the leading experts on that relationship. His name's Kobus van Wath. He's the head of the Beijing Access. He's lived in Beijing for 20 years. He also teaches just down the road at the University of Cape Town Business School, but he's in Cape Town with us now. So, just tell me, how much is this relationship growing between Chinese investment and African business?
Chris, yes, well, it's a very important relationship for China. China is globalizing, and Africa is a big share of trade in terms of investment focus. It's increasingly important. But wider than that, Africa is an important playing field for China in terms of its diplomatic aspirations and international relations aspirations. It's also a very important market for its goods and services, but very central to the overall relationship is resources. If you think of energy, if you think of metals and minerals, if you think of timber, fish, agri-processing, or first of all, and agri-processing, Africa is very important. And you have 55 countries that are all vying for investment from China and attention from China, and in a way competing for that investment dollar coming from China.
When do you think this sort of flow, this stronger flow of Chinese investments is going to start to materialize on the continent?
Well, a lot of people are saying that a lot of investment already has taken place, and yes, they're half right, but we haven't really seen that much. The game has been played in contractors coming here to do EPC, engineering, procurement, construction work, and we've certainly seen a lot of debt. China in any given year now extend more debt to Africa than even the World Bank. But if you look at the direct investment, overseas foreign direct investment of China into the continent, it's been relatively small compared to, say, Australia, that has received as one country multiple times more, Canada multiple times more. So if you're looking at 55 countries, any individual country has only really had a relatively small flow. But we believe at the Beijing Access that over the next 2-3 years this is about to change. We've seen over the last 5 years many learnings. We've seen changes in approvals processes, we've seen changes in mindsets, attitudes, and in a way Chinese SOEs, which are still the main players in this field, have been flexing their muscles and learning. And I think they've been grappling with the languages, the legal systems, the variability of the continent, but they've been learning. And I think over the next 2-3 years, given those different drivers, they will act, and we'll see significant direct investments across the continent, which means Africa stands to benefit, but it must play the game right as well.
Well, exactly as I was going to say. The deal is that China comes in return for access to markets and business in African countries. They offer up infrastructure, badly needed infrastructure, that in many places. But the point is, Africa doesn't seem to have a united voice when it comes to bargaining with China, and what sort of problems could that cause?
Well, I think Africa is simply a smaller economy. It's not even a $2 trillion economy compared to China, $8 trillion, which means that some of the smaller economies in Africa don't have a voice at all and are really just passengers in this overall relationship, and that presents risks and issues. So I think it's important that we as Africa have a shared strategy, at least to some extent, but in the end it will be about competition. And I think the key here is to make sure that it's a win-win, and that means Africa must first of all have the right governance frameworks, it must have the right strategic intent in evolving this relationship with China and creating frameworks for investment to come in and fulfill certain objectives of Africa, not just of the Chinese side. But I think the Chinese have shown that they are changing, they're adapting, they're flexible, they're also pragmatic, and they know they need to play by the rules. So I think it's very important for Africa to create that framework for dollars to come in, to do things at grassroots level, for local communities to benefit, for beneficiation to take place, so that it's not just simply a case of resources, raw materials being shipped back to China and manufactured goods and services arriving on our shores. And I think certainly the Chinese have not shown a reluctance or unwillingness in this regard, but as Africa we need to really up the game and make it clear that, you know, we are open for business, that we have the right incentives and the frameworks and the soft landing for anyone coming to invest, including the Chinese, but that it must work for both sides.
But bearing in mind, you said there's going to be tremendous competition amongst African nations to get that investment. How could that militate against the sensible idea of having a united voice in negotiations?
Well, I think you will have an interesting tension. As a continent, we need to stand together to be heard and to matter more as an overall regional economy. But in the end, certain countries have resources, some don't, and that will matter. Some countries have large population centers, urbanization, big mega cities developing. Some others have rural areas, they don't have that big market. So whether you're talking about resources as a target to extract resources from China's side or to sell its products and services in large population centers, the fact is that we must firstly be a continent and maybe regions within the continent to talk and to engage strategically. But at the end, the game is going to be about making your town, your street, your community win as the one attracting the dollars and getting perhaps customer utility in terms of Chinese products coming into the market.